This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast.
But yeah, okay. So do you want to talk about a different kind of work? Exterminating the Black Aja.
Yeah, let's continue on from our exciting battle last week and smash the Black Aja right in its forsaken face. It's a good time.
Smash or pass? Smash.
Much smash. Very smash. Masana is my favorite of the Forsaken, okay? Seeing her get taken down is bittersweet.
You just love a librarian. That's just like, you are so biased.
This is correct. I have no defense. Yes, I like the evil librarian.
An evil librarian. God.
Look, she just wants to be respected for her intellect and left the fuck alone. Like,
that's not all she wants.
That's all she wanted back before.
Yeah.
3,000 years ago, that's all she wanted.
Right now, the destruction of the White Tower, the dissolution of the center of power, the undermining of the central force designed to hold up the side of light. Yeah, just a few things like that.
Look, she just wants to be left alone. And if that means destroying the entire world to get some peace and goddamn quiet, that's what she's going to do.
She would totally be in that Twilight Zone. All the time in the world. And then she'd drop her glasses. Wounds.
Wounds. What are the wounds? Gawain's wounds? Hopper's wounds? What wounds?
Yeah, I want to say Gawain's wounds, the ones that get healed, but...
Oh, yeah, I guess Hopper's wounds are kind of not fixed.
Let's see. Yeah, the only time wounds is mentioned in this chapter is when... Well, I suppose also Perrin's wounds, right? Because he can't be healed until he wakes up. So both Galad and Perrin are healed in this chapter.
Okay, yeah. Gawain and Perrin are both bleeding profusely all over everything. So, okay, sure.
It's like, what two things do these POVs have in common? Well, they both got injured. Okay, call it wounds. Oh, okay.
Low-hanging. It's not even low-hanging fruit. It's just scraping the bottom of the barrel.
It's the simplest child's like, what do these two things have in common? Red. Okay, call them red category, right? Like, that's kind of how it feels to me. Is it very just, no real metaphysical meaning, just like a very descriptive word for the things that happen in the chapter.
And the symbol is the Forsaken snake, Forsnaken.
The Forsnaken.
Yes, the Forsnaken, which I believe I've been corrected that is a credit to Danny and Brett, not Allie and Gus. I got it from Allie and Gus, but I believe Danny and Brett are the ones that coined that. Mm-hmm. But that would indicate more of the Black Aja stuff. But I mean, we've seen the symbol and the title not be connected, so I'm trying to make a connection that doesn't exist.
Listen, to the Allie Gus, versus Brett and Danny, whatever. Don't worry about it. First time reader podcasts are terrible. Like, just don't you shouldn't listen to those. Unless
it's about Dungeon Crawler Carl and us. No, we love our first time reader colleagues.
We do. I do. I was kidding.
But for now, I guess I should read us into this because, we left off in action last week. And so we're going to start with action this week. Chapter 38. Spurts of fire flashed through the dark hallways of the White Tower, leaving trails of smoke that curled in the air, thick and pungent. People screamed and yelled and cursed. The walls shook as blasts took them. Chips and chunks of rock sprayed off weaves of air crafted for protection. There, Egwene noted a place where several Black Sisters were lobbing fire down the hallway. Evanellan was there. Egwene sent herself into the room next to the one where they were standing. She could hear them on the other side of the wall. She opened her hands and released a powerful blast of earth and fire directly at the wall, blowing it outward. The women beyond stumbled and fell, Evanellan collapsing, bloodied. The other woman was quick enough to send herself away. Egwene checked to see that Evanellan was dead. She was. Egwene nodded with satisfaction. Evanellan was one of those she'd been most eager to find. Now if she could only track down Katarine or Alfiarin. I thought that was a good read-in. It almost like at the beginning, you can't quite tell if it's going to be Perrin or Egwene, because the last thing we left on the last chapter is him like plunging into a nightmare in the tower. So like this could be that. And then it turns into channeling. And you're like, oh no, we're back with Egwene. And this is her just systematically taking out minions, grinding on the XP of this level without actually getting to the neighborhood boss. Sorry, what books are we talking about again?
Well, stop it. We're talking about these. Avon Yellen. Wow, that's a hard
Evan
name.
Ellen, I believe, is how the books say it. The audiobooks say it.
Okay, thank you. Evan Ellen is one of the few Black Ajah who escaped Varen's clutches. She is not in the book and was revealed because she fled the White Tower to get away from Egwene's re-swearing.
She's one of the 3. I think Egwene says it's 3.
So that's why she's particularly eager to take her out, because she was one of the ones who actually escaped from her questioning and wasn't in Varen's book. And so she's like, oh, this was one that was like a super snake.
Right. She like even escaped Varen's net. And so like this punch in the face is for Varen. We're completing that list.
Exactly. Is 100%. Punching that list, one might say.
Yes, very thoroughly. And she's still really relying on power here. That was something I was really paying attention to throughout this whole chapter, is when does she use power and when does she use her mind? Because she's over-reliant on power, although she does think about how there is a both and.
And again, this is one of those lessons that I'm like, come on, she's learned this so many times. Did she really need Perrin to like do the thing in front of her for her to be like, oh yeah, that's right, you can use your mind? And I'm just like, come on, World of Dreams, using your mind. You've mastered this so well.
I mean, it is like a hard test of those skills, but yeah, her feeling surprised by the knowledge feels a little bit regressive. It should be more like, God damn, I really did learn that lesson. I really can level up my skills now that I know what I'm doing. Yeah, the surprise is a little misplaced.
Right. It feels like she should just be like, oh yeah, I should be doing more of that.
Right. Oh, well, she turns into a wise one in this chapter, so, she's good.
That is pretty cool. So she encounters this first fake Messana, which is...
Alviarin. This is the Mask of Mirrors got put on her.
No, not Alviarin. Katarine, right?
Oh, you're right. I confuse the two of them a lot for some reason. But yes, this is the one that Messana put the Mask of Mirrors on them so that she would have a decoy just running around in front of her, essentially. And
yeah, so this is sort of this, you're like, oh my God, she kicks Messana's ass. And you're like, oh, no, fake out.
I know. It's a good fake out. It's a really good fake out. Like, Messana is good at the thinking 3 steps ahead on the battle. And she's like, I'm going to get closer to Egwene. Therefore, I'm going to need to increase my subterfuge and my camouflage, and so that way I can see Egwene's move when she thinks she's getting me, and that's the perfect moment to strike. She's smart. I mean, as it says here, like, Sayarin's research had been correct. Like, Messana is not backing away from this fight. She's confident in her ability to keep pushing it.
On one level, yes, but also because she can't. Right?
Well, she could have, like, aborted the mission.
She could have, but she didn't. Her goal was actually to flee, to take this somewhere else, right? To lure her somewhere else, and she couldn't do it because of the dome. So, and I thought that was actually kind of an ironic statement, because I'm like, she couldn't. Is it that she didn't flee, or that her plans got all fucked up because Perrin brought in the dome, and that's why she's not fleeing? Because she specifically states, I was going to take this fight somewhere a little more convenient.
But she decides to adapt to the conditions rather than pulling back and trying again another day.
Right. So I mean, that is sort of, the assessment is correct in that even if the circumstances change, she's not necessarily going to just give up.
Yeah. Whereas, like, as she says here, Moghedien absolutely would have pulled the plug.
Would have. Oh, of course. Yeah, totally. I mean, we all know Moghedien's a coward, just like 90. Wait.
But yeah, I mean, and I think we even see a scene with Messana earlier where she's like, fine, I'll make it work. I can yes and this. Because her, much like Grandal at the end of this chapter, they're running out of options to not get toasted by the Dark One, right? Like, they're really on their last chances, so they kind of have to yes and it rather than trying again another day.
I mean, it's literally Sindane's name.
Yeah, exactly. She's there as the poster child for this whole situation, right? And we see Grandal at the end saying, okay, well, Perrin's slipping out of the trap, spring it anyway.
Wait. Is Sindane last chance, or is it... Okay. Or is it... What's Grandal's new name?
Hessalam, without forgiveness.
Well, that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah, Sindane is last chance. So, you see Messana and Grandal both looking over at Sindane Landfear going, I'd better just continue powering through and hope I can stick the landing. There's a natural 20 in these dice somewhere. I got it.
So there is this sort of text here where we talk about channeling versus using your mind, and how for some things it's just like imposing your will against a lot of mass seems difficult. So in that case, channeling seems to be better, which would argue against the whole channeling is just, in your mind until I run Riyadh rule.
Unless it's a matter of belief. It's easier to believe that you blew a wall up than that the wall spontaneously exploded. Right? Like, I know I added incendiaries to it, so it's okay for it to blow up. That is logical.
That's fair. But yeah, I mean, it feels like channeling is something, to me, that's real.
It certainly implies that.
That you're pulling in another power. Yeah, it certainly implies that. But at the same time, like, the fact that Perrin can then just push the weave away is like, once the realness is there, it can still be like, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, because I guess Tel'aran'rhiod is always a mirror of the real world. But like, okay, see, I twist myself I go back and forth on this. Every time I think I'm on one side, I'm like, but wait, there's more.
Yeah.
And then I can think of an argument for the other side. So I keep hesitating to really come down on one side or the other on this one, which I think is why it's a fun debate to keep bringing up.
Yeah, it's good to keep worrying at that one. I do find it annoying here how she's like, wow, Perrin can do things? She hadn't been surprised by the things he'd done so much as by the fact that he had been the one doing them.
Yeah, I hated that line.
And I'm like,
fucking hated that line.
First of all, you were very impressed that anyone could stop Balefire. It was the thing that he did that you were impressed by, empirically in black and white on the page. But also, like, is he not your friend? Like, near sibling? Like, what is, I mean, I guess it's a sibling level of degradation of someone's skills. But it was just like, Perrin's not a dummy. You've never been one of his bullies. Why are you starting now?
And I thought we were this over, like, well, he's a man, so I'm surprised he can do anything at all. Like, bullshit. Like, we're past that.
I liked the line where she thinks about how he looks a lot more mature and confident and strong because he had the same thought of her in that moment of like, oh, you've grown up. So I like that. And then she immediately follows up with, but he's just a stupid boy. How can he do anything?
Yeah. So yeah, I hate the line not only because I don't like the line, but because it feels incongruent with the thoughts around it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's odd. But I do like also when she, paragraph later, she's thinking about, power versus thought, and she is an Aes Sedai and a dreamer. She had to use both. I'm like, just like Perrin is both Perrin and Youngbull, and he's using the wolf and the man and using both attributes, and they're being such good parallels in so many ways in this fight.
And I do like this. The structure is really good, right? The parallels between what they're doing and the way they're sacrificing to take out the bad guy, and the way they do it through sheer will and cleverness. And I don't know, it's a well done fight. It's a well done fight on both sides. But again, sometimes their thoughts are the thing that I'm just like, I don't know about they would be thinking that in that moment. That doesn't seem right to me. That's really, I think, where I get hung up on sometimes. Because I'm just like, we've had character development past these thoughts.
Yeah. Also, it would be really nice if she had these questions for real in her heart, if she ever sent a message to him to follow up.
Right.
And be like, hey, buddy, can we, meet over tea and talk about it? Like, if she actually meant this, she would want to follow up on it. But instead, it's just a throwaway disparaging thought.
When you said meet over tea, I thought you were going to say, like, meet over TAR, like meeting over the internet, like Zoom calls. Like, let's meet over tea. And, like, because I'm short for Tel'aran'rhiod.
I don't know why I picked tea as a beverage. I don't think that's appropriate to either of their characters.
Yeah, it is. That's the only thing they drink. I mean, Perrin, like, sometimes talks about how awkward it is to have a tiny cup of tea in his hand. But, like, remember the whole thing with having Morghese serve him tea and how he,
Yeah, no, I suppose they do drink tea.
Yeah, he drinks quite a bit of tea.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, yeah, so I guess I do know why I picked tea as a beverage. Anyway.
I'm like, have you not read Wheel of Time? Tea is the beverage. Tea is the beverage. What do you mean I don't know why I picked tea? Like, they even drink it after they know forkroot tea is a fucking poison for them. Like, oh well, still gonna have my cup of tea, right? Fucking hell. Like,
so British.
So British. It might be the one thing that can take us down, but we're definitely not going to stop drinking tea.
Yeah, well, I mean... Yeah, that is the British Empire.
Yeah. It's why we had the Boston Tea Party, because those fuckers One thing they understand is wasting tea. They're like, oh God, we're going to war over that.
Yeah, that's exactly what that entire conflict was about. We don't need to deep dive into the actual history. It was about tea and wasting tea.
Well, I mean, it was definitely like why that was such an insult, right? Like it was, we are wasting tea because you're fucking British, and taxes.
Mostly taxes.
Mostly taxes. Shh, shh, shh.
But the choice of tea does have a certain cultural knife
There's a
twist.
certain cultural, there's a certain culturalness to that. Because I'm sure there were other products that were being traded by England. Well, but tea specifically was like heavily drank. So anyway, I don't know the history well enough to go into that on a podcast.
Nicola is a dumbass and is about to die.
I really do feel like this was checking a box, though.
Yeah.
It was like, because like her carelessness had been foreshadowed so much, and I just thought it would have more consequences other than being like, well, yep, she's dead. She was irresponsible and that killed her. I thought there'd be like consequences to that other than her dying, or like somehow the fight would go badly because of it.
I kind of like it, though, because she had main character syndrome and even her death didn't matter. And that's kind of like one of the bitter truths of armed conflict, is that if you go into it with main character syndrome, odds are you won't even be a side character. You're just going to be splatter at the corner of the screen in the opening 5 minutes of the movie.
Part of me wants this to be a lesson for Egwene, and like,
yeah, right,
the fact
exactly.
that she has Taviran, the Taviran by proxy that we talk about all the time, and like, is she insulated from stuff because Rand needed her?
It's a warning shot that like you think you're hot shit and then the floor explodes under you.
Would she have been splatted very early on if not for the Taviran by proxy? Because she went into this story with main character syndrome. She wanted to be a hero. She wanted to leave her town and be the new biggest, greatest thing.
Yeah, and it's okay when it's Egwene, but it's not okay when it's Nicola. Where's the logic in that?
Yeah, right.
So I like the meaninglessness of Nicola's death because it's so just bitter and awful. And yeah, maybe Egwene, be a little more careful. But also just like how many other girls are going through, and boys, right, are going through this same kind of like, I'm going to join the hunt for the horn and it's going to be great. And they trip and fall and break their neck in a ditch before they even get out of the country.
Or like that Gollin and Nicola would have made a better couple.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Irresponsibility squared.
I could bond over having main character syndrome. No, you're delusional. No, you're delusional.
What Egwene has this thick cylinder of glass around her. That seemed weird to me. Is that something she created?
Bulletproof glass, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. And that's something she's creating with Tel'aran'rhiod, not with channeling.
Right.
Yeah. So it seems like she's trying to start to rely on that sort of thing.
Yeah, she's trying to multitask, right? Use Tel'aran'rhiod for basic world bendy stuff, and then use channeling and the power for very specific applications, like blowing people up.
So we get this fight between Egwene and fake Mesa-Ana.
Yeah, Melaine gives her a quick heads up, and then we have more exploding walls. And we refer back to last chapter when Bear had said, foolish child, your pattern is obvious, right? The wise ones are really trying to help Egwene not die here.
They're like, eh. And that is, Katarine totally clocked her. She was like, I got your pattern. I'm waiting for you. Like, right where I expect you to be.
Yeah, totally. And then Egwene uses her lesson from Perrin. And I think this is where I got the idea that the balefire bent around them, because here these, weaves come flying at her and she thinks those will not hit me. And they bend around her. The weaves shot forward and they bent around Egwene. And that's the moment in which she turns into a wise one. She gets the full wise one outfit so I think that's where I got the idea that there's bendiness, because in this instance, Egwene does bend them. Perrin didn't. Perrin absorbed them, but Egwene bends them.
Mm-hmm. Egwene goes, there is no spoon, right? Like,
yeah, which I then wonder where those weaves like land, because like Perrin absorbed the balefire and made it hit nothing, whereas Egwene is redirecting them so that they're going to hit something. But whatever.
I mean, in a lot of ways, Tel'aran'rhiod is like a video game world, because you can destroy shit, and like because it just reverts to the way the real world is, you don't kind of have to worry about what you're destroying. It does It's a nice way to make consequence-free battles that destroy a bunch of shit without actually destroying a bunch of shit.
Right. And then in her moment of glorious wise oneness, she has a spear, and she uses an Aiel spear to take out Masana. It's fake Masana, but it's still awesome. The visual of her just like suddenly going full wise one and then stab. And she does take out Katarine, who is an important person to take out.
Right. Red Aja, right?
Yep. Was the very brief interim Mistress of Novices right before Elida's unfortunate capture by the Shan-Shan.
And I think it's interesting that the weave around her vanishes as she dies, because she's not the one maintaining the weave. Mesana is. So Mesana must have dropped that weave when she died.
Yeah, because it's not like the weaves are like attached to the life force. They're attached to the body, the meat suit. So yeah, I guess Masana sees the blood and is like, okay, well, I'm going to save that energy for something else now.
Right. Because because I put in there, I was like, wait, that shouldn't have dropped. Masana, if she tied it off, that wouldn't have disappeared.
Right. Yeah. So but because she's right there, right? She's following around in the shadows, waiting for Egwene to be vulnerable in that moment of triumph, so she can click an idom around her neck, which is honestly good move. That was a really good move. That almost worked.
Yeah, well, especially with Egwene, who has trauma around the Shan-Shan and being captured. Like, that's a great way to derail her. Yeah.
Like, she knows, right? Like, an Aes Sedai who had never seen one of these, it might not work on her as well. It would have been a different contest of wills. But Egwene has, like, trauma. She's having flashbacks immediately. And that's not Teleran Riyadh. That's not Masana. That's Egwene's own story.
And in a lot of ways, I think this scene is almost like shut up fans who are like, well, why didn't she just use the World of Dreams to make the Adom disappear? And the answer is she could have. She just didn't think about it.
Until she did.
Well, I'm talking about Moghedien.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like, why didn't Moghedien just, like, make the Adom disappear? And then there's the confusion where the Adom in the dream is not the Adom, the real one, and they went through this whole, like, Adom in the World of Dreams, made her drink the poison. Then she was affected by the poison, or the potion in the real world that made her pass out. Then they somehow forged a wireless Adom out of the silver arrow before she woke up and got the collar around her, and that was off screen. They were able to invent an Adom sort of overnight.
It was one of the most Deus Ex Machina moments in this entire series.
It was definitely like, wait, where did they get the Adom from? They made the collar and duplicated the Adom really quickly in the night before she woke up the next morning, found her body, got it on her, and made her a servant, all before anybody noticed. And that was all off screen. Yep.
That's what happened.
Yep. And that's the way it is, folks. You know, like, that's basically all we got out of that one. Don't have any other answer for you. You know, one assumes they're grad students. They've got a lab somewhere. You know, they
may have also, like, taken a couple days to do it and, like, just kept Masana, like, drugged
the whole
for a couple
time,
of days. Like,
right.
We had a major amount of hand waving that you can fit a lot of different factors into, because someone was just like, nope, we're going to deal with all this loose ends by just not.
Mm-hmm. Like, maybe they did keep her under a shield for a couple of days until they got that all sorted out, right?
Yeah, exactly. We just didn't see it. And so, yeah, Masana takes her away back to her little stronghold in the bedrock under the tower. And Alviarin is there because, yeah, she was not the one who was the decoy. Like, she was probably the backup decoy. Probably if this hadn't worked, Masana would have come back to grabbed Alviarin and tried again, you know?
Maybe, or something different, right? But
well, maybe, yeah. She is smart.
Just bond with me, I'm using your powers, right? That sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
And I do love that, like, this questioning is all like, wow, you know, where's the device? And Egwene's like, she never thinks it, but she has no idea.
What device? She's more confused by the dome than you. And it's so funny, too, because Masana gets Egwene in here and then sends Alviarin off to say, call the battle off, we're done. I've won. So the whole battle, they start retreating, and then their general gets decapitated. After claiming victory. It's like, you really popped the champagne on that too early, Masana, my dear.
It's definitely the you're not in here with me, I'm in here with you situation, where it's like, I've got you now, and it's like, yeah, that's not the win you think it is at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And Egwene is kind of like, oh, what if I face something like this in my, you know, this is the whole point of being tested as, you know, an Aes Sedai, so I would know what to do in this situation, and I wouldn't panic. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's why you should have taken the test.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, well, because you didn't run yourself through this in a sandbox hypothetical, now you're going to have to face the realist version of it.
Right. Right.
But also, I wonder if in her testing, if this had happened, if that would have actually killed her. You know, I wonder if like the reality of the stakes is what allows her to power through. And if in the dream she would have just been taking the rules, or in the test, if she would have been taking the Eyes to Die like test rules too seriously, and it would have just defeated her and she would have like not come out.
Because this is the moment where she has to deal with the Shan Chan panic, right? This is this moment where like you were taken captive and like you don't know how that's going to affect you in a combat situation until you deal with it. And she has to deal with it in this moment and be like, okay, the panic of being recollared is not going to stop me and imprison me from acting.
Yeah. Because when she thinks like, but this is different, right? She's like, no. I can handle anything and everything. Not this. Not this. This is a line too far. And I truly question if she would have survived this if she'd been in the test. I think the depth of seriousness of it actually being real is what allows her to, find the inner fortitude to say, no, it's not different, actually.
And then she Jedi, these are not the droids you're looking for. This Adam is no longer here, right? It just clicks and falls off.
Yeah. And it's not even like when Rand accepts the pain and it just is like the overflowing cup. Like she stops the pain. She just is like, nope, I reject its entire premise for existing.
Right. I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Yeah, basically. She would prefer not to.
Thank you, Bartleby.
And then we get just an amazing discussion because Masana is not a mustache twirling blowhard. She's smart. And so they talk their way into their final confrontation rather than waving their swords and yelling and come at me loose there. And she folds her arms and says, you're more practiced here than I thought. Like that's how the final confrontation opens up, is a freaking conversation. And I love it.
And then there's the Bane speech.
Oh,
you
yeah.
think strife is your ally?
Yeah.
You were merely adopted into strife. I was born into it, molded by it. I didn't see peace until I was already a woman. And by then, it was nothing to me but boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, that makes Masana Batman in this situation, but,
Batman is not the hero.
He's the billionaire. That means he can't be the hero.
I'm just saying he has money for systemic change and instead he's using his fists. I'm just saying. But yeah, so basically the conversation boils down to Masana saying, I'm older and wiser in the ways of all of this than you. And Egwene says, let's unpack that. I'm not just a child of this age. I am the current living embodiment of an institution that has lasted since you were put on ice. Like we're actually not the same. Like it's no.
You fought a war, but you were raised in peace. You were raised in like how you were raised. I was raised in a time of strife. Now I'm like, okay, the Two Rivers is not exactly like the worn-torn countryside of.
But what the tower has survived. The tower came out of the ashes of the breaking. The tower has survived the world shrinking and being attacked by Ashamael every 1,000 years. Right, like the tower has had a rough in a lot of ways. And she says even here, like, even to an extent, experience is irrelevant. Like, I am an institution. I am not a person. And you don't have that. You're an avatar or you're an agent of the Dark One, but you're just some bitch, you know?
Right. And I sit in the office of the Amerlin. I'm, not just the person.
Yeah, she's a living goddess, right? She's not just a priest. She's the actual, like, the spark is in me for this lifetime. And Masana does not have something of equal import to push back with. She just has her own sense of entitlement. Which, again, yeah, like you said, it's from an age of indolence, from an age of quote-unquote utopia. Like, it's not the same.
Trust me, I grew up in a world that you might call utopia and spoiled, and now I live in this hellhole. It's not easy to deal with, I feel like these young kids are like, yeah, this is, the internet's always been this shitty. And I'm like, what? No, the internet's a place of hope and joy.
Right. Yeah, totally.
But yeah, do you want to read the breaking of Masana? I think you should read that.
Yeah. It's so good because I love Egwene. I love Masana. It's, yeah. Two women, gazes matched. Egwene stopped breathing. She did not need to breathe. All was focused on Masana. Sweat trickled down Egwene's temples, every muscle in her body tense as she pushed back against Masana's will. And Egwene knew that this woman, this creature, was an insignificant insect shoving against an enormous mountain. That mountain would not move. Indeed, shove against it too hard, and something snapped, softly, in the room. Egwene breathed in with a gasp as the air returned to normal. Masana dropped like a doll made of strips of cloth. She hit the ground with her eyes still open, and a little bit of spittle dribbled from the corner of her mouth. Just so soft. Pop.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of the fight between Nynaeve and Moghedien in the Palace of Tanchico, when they're just staring at each other and the maid goes by and they're like straining. And now it's using the one power to try and cut each other off, but in a lot of ways, it's the just will against will, silently staring at each other. No big effects, no big fireworks. No, Rand al'Thor, Asmodean destroying the Ruidian. It's not them taking down, punching holes in the tower with the power. Ooh, yeah.
It's so esoteric and subtle. It's down to just this brain pretzel. It kind of reminds me of that scene in The Sandman. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Where he's battling with Gwendolyn Christie as the devil, and they're doing like, I am a world, I am a snake, I am space, I am hope. It's kind of like that. It's these brain pretzels of like who can brain pretzel the hardest, just in the most esoteric, and then it just soft little snap, and the whole woman's intense career mind, everything she knew, everything she was, is just lost. Just like that.
Brain broken. Like, the reality is that you don't exist anymore, and somehow that becomes permanent. Like, it kind of reminds me of what Moghedien said she would do to Birgitta.
Yeah, what she did do kind of briefly, and then put it back, and then it's almost kind of like with Hopper dying. It's like, you're dead. Like, you lost yourself in the dream.
Right. Yeah, that's always something I wonder about. It's like, if your mind's broken, like, does your soul... I feel like the mind breaking, though, is a very physical thing. And so when your soul's reborn, you get a new mind.
Yeah.
For me, the mind not working, at least in the Wheel of Time, is a very physical thing, whereas the soul is a metaphysical thing. And so the soul goes on, and it can be in a whole body.
Well, I guess that is the question, is this a soul wound or just a mind wound, given that it happened in Teleron Riyadh? Does it have propagation fractures into her soul?
I don't think so, because, I mean, people who die in Teleron Riyadh, if they're dreaming, just die in real life.
Right.
There's not like a permanent soul death, right? That's just like... Yep, you got into a nightmare, and the nightmare ended you, and you're over, and you're dead. And like, that doesn't seem to be any special unless you're there physically.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And I don't think she's there physically. We're not sure about that, actually. No, because she's dreaming, because we know she wakes up the next morning.
Yeah, they find her. They find her just drooling and pissing herself in her bed, because that's all that's left.
Danielle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's different.
So yeah, Egwene kind of sits there and breathes for a minute, and then takes her prize back upstairs to show to her teammates, and they go, holy shit.
Yeah. I saw someone who encountered something that broke her mind, but it was probably, a nightmare or...
Right, one assumes that this Aiel that Bear talks about was, just a nightmare standard stuff,
right.
not a Forsaken.
Distortion in reality, not the Forsaken, yeah. And also, like, it wasn't like another person she came up against, right? Like... I mean, it could have been, I suppose, but... We
have no idea. But yes, this is something that can happen other times. There are other things that could break a person in Teleron Riyadh. And yeah, Ami says, what we saw on the page earlier, maybe you're not an apprentice anymore. We saw her turn into a wise one, and Ami's is like, seems like in addition to being Amerlin and Aes Sedai, you're also a wise one.
Considering you just did something that proves that you have the fortitude of mind... above and beyond almost anyone, right? With
no trials, no sand counting, no water dripping, no candle blowing out and relighting like Aviendha had to go through. Just, oh shit, you kick ass.
And at no point did she have to say, I am a wise one, right? They just said, oh yeah, you are one through your actions and you're showing it.
Perhaps it's time to stop thinking of you as an apprentice.
Right, right.
Not even calling her a wise one, just like, well, you're not getting kicked out of the ranks, but you're not an apprentice anymore, so...
Yeah, and that is that she's not part of their organization, so of course she's not a wise one. But she is no longer an apprentice of the wise ones either. She might actually be able to teach the wise ones a thing or two.
Yeah. And then she says, I mean, they all agree the battle's over, and Egwene says, you have very much G. Like, so much of the White Tower owes you now. You don't owe the White Tower. We owe you. And they say it's such a shame that we lost you. Would have been really cool if you could actually be a wise one instead of just a parallel to us in a different organization.
Right. It's not pretty cool if you were.
Yeah, right. Everyone basically does a handshake and says good game, and they go home. And we POV switch. And we're still in Tar Valon, still in Teleran Riyadh.
I will say there's that one moment where she's like, they couldn't have... Swan says that the people who fled couldn't have gone far. I'm like, they could have just woken up. That's what fleeing means. They don't have to go far. They don't have to still be in Teleran Riyadh. I thought that was a little bit of a miss.
Yeah. Well, it's because like the others have gone. Masana ordered them to flee. Well, they can't have gone far. Well, regardless, we're done. They could have woken up. Maybe the dome's gone away. Like, we're done. This was enough fighting for one night.
Or they're in hiding in various rooms in the White Tower that you'll never really suss them out because they're just like in hiding.
Yeah, it's would be a waste of resources at this point. And yeah, they could just wake up and then you're just hanging out here, not sleeping. Like, it's no good.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. That POV switch to Perrin in a Nightmare.
Like, this is still mid climax battle for him, right? We've had this come down from Egwene's battle, but now we're rejoining Perrin, and he's still like right in the thick of it. He has just plunged his battered self and Slayer into a nightmare and is trying to grapple with it.
And he's wounded as fuck, right? He's definitely like, he can't really physically take Slayer anymore because of his wounds. So he's using deception, essentially, by blending into the background. Literally.
Yes. He changes his appearance. He imitates the actions of the people in the nightmare while still maintaining his own sense of reality. He's walking quite the tightrope, but at least it's not a physically strenuous one because, yeah, he's bleeding profusely.
And Azzy Althorn is named for Anthony Aziz.
Nice.
Who won the Grand Drawing Prize in the fundraiser in 2008. And we've actually seen him...
Yeah, I thought the name was familiar, but he got to be used a couple times.
In Towers of Midnight, Chapter 10, he's walking with Grady and Elias, so he's just sort of in the background.
Okay, so that's why he's one of the faces that Perrin would think of, because he's been seeing this guy around camp.
He rode with Daniel Gall, Azzy, and Will went with him to his trial. Later, we're not quite there yet, but he will be in the crowd watching him forge his hammer. And he'll carry his banner in the end of this one. But yeah, so he's...
okay, cool.
Mentioned many times in sort of the background, and then his face is used here.
But he's not immediately killed, so way to be a fan insert who's not a red shirt.
Let me see. Hold on. Watt Encyclopedia is incomplete sometimes. But no, it looks like he does survive. I don't see any... Yeah, there is no death scene for Aziz.
Nice.
Interesting last name. He's the Al. It's not quite Althorn. It's Althor.
Althone, I think is how the audiobook says it.
Yeah, Althone as opposed to Althor. A very similar sort of name.
Well, that's how language evolves, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, there's the hint, there's lava. This is one of those, like, I assume it's a nightmare of like an apprentice in the White Tower or something who's like, I'm gonna be stuck in the last battle and lava's gonna come out and we're gonna be basically screwed.
Yeah, it does very much feel like the nightmare of someone who's lived in this town their whole life, and like this is how the world ends, is the mountain that was always quiescent finally erupts.
Right. It's sort of like us imagining like Mount Hood going out finally.
Right, yeah. If you're going to have a nightmare about a volcano going off, it's either going to be a total fantasy volcano or it's going to be Mount Hood. No other real world mountains are likely to fill that slot in your mind.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you've got this moment where he's like desperate and aching, but Perrin's like really good at controlling how far into the dream he's drawn. right? Like, he doesn't just like in or out. He can do these sort of half ins where he can be the people but not really be fully drawn into the nightmare itself.
Yeah, he doesn't get the sucked in reset thing. And that's what he manages to pull on Slayer, right? He manages to get Slayer fully sucked in and then pretend that he's in there and like interact with Slayer as though he's just part of the nightmare. Ha 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 ha. Very sneaky.
Right. And so Slayer ignores him like you ignore a servant or ignoring that level of...
There's like 100 scared faces around you. Why would that one stand out?
And so Perrin essentially uses the world of dreams to be somebody else in a nightmare.
While bleeding out, freaking out about Hopper, being desperately afraid of what happens if this doesn't work. It's amazing he's able to maintain the mental control to pull this off. But I guess, desperation sharpens your focus. I'm going to kind of like mentally imagine this is roughly around when Egwene is having her deepest moment of panic. Like the two of them
Totally.
are both just like reaching as
Sync
deep
up.
into their souls as they've ever reached for this fortitude.
And I like him being like, oh, yeah, I can probably take advantage of the fact that this guy, is skilled at Tel'aran'rhiod and would never voluntarily jump into a nightmare, right? Like, that'd be dumb to do, even though I've been doing it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble on his part, but it does fit with Slayer's arrogant personality, and it seems to work. I mean, Slayer does pop the nightmare pretty quickly once he realizes what's happening. So clearly he hasn't spent no time practicing with these things, but yeah, he's avoided them more than he's engaged with them. Because Perrin's been trying to speed run, whereas Slayer's been doing this for 20 years or so?
One would assume, yeah.
So he's like inevitably had run-ins he couldn't get out of, but he also didn't training montage on them. But yeah, Perrin grabs the dream spike and then makes a knife in his hand. Again, it's like this is when Egwene is stabbing people. They're both having their fight climaxes around the same time. And he gets a knife and he stabs Slayer, which is good because he hasn't managed to really hit him properly since book 4.
Right. Which he also stabs him in the stomach as the same thing as he hits him in the stomach with the arrow.
Isn't it the chest, I think?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think he's hit more in the upper.
The chest area.
But still, the
right,
trunk.
well.
Either way, Perrin
Yeah.
keeps hitting him in the trunk and giving him immediate life-threatening injuries.
And then, the rift opens up next to him. It's almost the world being like, throw it in here. It's like literally the most convenient thing to happen ever.
Well, he is Taviran and he is Wolf Boy, so the world of dreams is probably not going to be able to help itself from bending to help him in this.
It's like, here you go. Here's the place to destroy it. And he's like, ooh, okay. Again, we got that clue earlier where Slayer's eyes sort of flicked to Dragonmount when he talked about destroying it. And so that was the idea of like...
And Dragonmount comes to him.
Yeah, Dragonmount came to him and the sort of duplication of it. And like, then you got the idea also from Hopper that like dreams, the nightmares of men are strong enough to destroy something that may even like exist in the real world, which I don't know. I feel like things that like come to the world of dreams and that are real are almost more vulnerable.
It feels kind of like a glass cannon situation.
Right.
The more you
They're more
crank
powerful.
up on one, the more down you go on the other. Yeah, but it also makes sense to me that something as powerful as the dream spike could be taken out by a nightmare, because a nightmare is more than one person, right? Like a nightmare has a lot of minds behind it. There's a lot.
Does it?
Well, they're kind of semi-sentient, right? They can break off from a person and live on their own for a bit.
I suppose, yeah. But I always thought of them more as like bubbles of evil from people. The bubble of evil is essentially, I always think of them as the Dark One's nightmares.
That is a good analogy.
Right, they kind of rise up. And because the real world is the world of dreams to the Dark One, that's why it's his prison, right?
Yeah, that's a good
like,
point. It's just that the dream really is good at making things realistic. And nightmares do that, I guess. That's just really where it's at.
yes. But no, oh god, yeah, I love the idea of the Dark Ones, the bubbles of evil, just being like Dark One's nightmares or dreams.
Yeah, more
that
like
are
his
bubbling up.
dreams, his
Right.
fond daydreams. But no, I mean, the analogy works really well, actually. So yeah, Perrin manages to huck it into the lava for just long enough before Slayer makes the lava go away that it does break the Terangreal. It does kill the dome. And then we get to have a psychic goodbye with Hopper while Slayer goes for the kill shot. And Perrin gets out in the actual nick of time.
Yeah, it's a sad death to see Hopper die. It is, I don't know, though, a little cliche here to have him like, oh, beat the bad guy and at the last minute I can hang on and give you a final message. I don't know. It's not my favorite death, I'll be honest. Like Hopper's first death was so emotional and so hard. it's hard to beat.
You don't kill the dog. And if you do, you don't kill him twice.
Right. There's a reason you brought him back in the World of Dreams, because like killing him was unconscionable.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of perma killing the dog. I'm not a fan of the death scene being psychic. I don't really like any of it. And I don't like the cryptic final answer with the dying breath. It's such an overused trope, and the answer is so obvious and so basic, and it's just blech.
Yeah, and I don't feel like that it fits the character of Hopper. He wouldn't have held this information until he was dying. He wouldn't have been like, oh, that's a very human thing to do, which is to keep secrets until the last minute when you realize you're dying.
He's been corrupted by his association with Perrin, I guess, to be more human-like. I don't know.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, not my favorite death scene of the heroes. Just it didn't feel, it felt like a failure on Perrin's part to rescue him rather than Hopper dying for any particular reason.
Yeah, that's it. I could have lived with it if he had like taken Slayer out and sacrificed himself to do it. But instead it's just, oh yeah, you left me behind on the battlefield bleeding and you didn't get back to me in time. Nah.
Or like you caught me from the fall, but somehow Slayer shot me through me and into your leg at the same time. And yeah, it just, again, I do feel like this chapter is doing a little bit of just like checking off certain characters to be like, oh, yep, dealt with that one. Like there's a lot of that more, especially in the next book. There's a lot of that where I'm like, I'm glad that we have a final chapter on this character, but it really did feel like you were checking them off a list.
Yeah, I am unhappy that Hopper died. That didn't need to happen.
Mm-mm.
Hopper could have been like, this is the last time I'm helping you. Goodbye. And then, fucked off to heal at Wolf Hospital and been fine. I'd have been fine with him leaving the story at this point, but not permadying.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, with that very lackluster ending.
Yeah, maybe some like your risks are too human, or I don't think I can teach you anymore because you are, in some way a wolf brother.
Or the power of the creator compels me to never talk to you again.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to come up with something that's like legitimate, but like, yeah.
Maybe he's going to go to like Hero of the Horn processing, and that's going to take 60 Earth years. So.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the thing is like we want Hopper to be like a Hero of the Horn, and if he's permadead, like he kind of can't be. Because he can't hang out in Tel'aran'rhiod anymore with the heroes.
Maybe this is the only way he can fulfill his true destiny, being reborn as a human, because everyone wants to be human.
Not a human, a bird.
Yeah.
He wants to fly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I want this to be.
Because Hopper wasn't like, he didn't want to jump. He hopped because he wanted to fly.
He wants to soar specifically.
He
wants to be like a
That's
raptor.
specific.
He doesn't want to be a little like Tweety bird that lives in a bush. He wants to get up there and see the land.
Big old albatross, right? Like never touch ground for like
totally. Can you imagine Hopper as a seabird? Weeks just flying over the open ocean.
I think you'd love it.
I mean, honestly, he probably totally would.
So, but yeah, that was a, fun destruction of a Terangrial. Do you think it would have survived Balefire? So that's the thing, right? So here's what I have to ask. If Perrin somehow could harness the Balefire shot at him and so be like, I'm absorbing it temporarily and then ejecting it back out.
Return fire for the missiles.
Yeah, exactly. If somehow he harnessed Balefire or had the thing and brought it to the battle and someone shot Balefire and he like tossed it into the stream of Balefire or something like that, right? Like, because we've seen other objects of power survive Balefire.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And it's not just Quandiar, right? It's Terangrial.
But that's the question. Is it always, can we say that those Terangrial were made out of Quandiar?
No, because the sad bracelets are not Quandiar, and they drop out of the beam.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the sad bracelets are, but I assume they aren't Quandiar.
There's some things that cannot be destroyed by Balefire. Quandiar is one of them, but there are other things.
Yeah, I suspect that if he had tried to shoot Balefire out of his hand, I don't think it would have worked. I think that the Terangrial would have fallen out of the beam and just been like, haha, try again.
You think that even though lava was capable of destroying it, Balefire would not be?
Yeah, because lava is a natural phenomena, whereas Balefire is channeling, right? It's that crispy human, comes from only a certain kind of thing, whereas lava like exists. Even in a world with no humans, lava still exists. It's one of the realest things. It's like early Earth is just a ball of lava. So
Figures the geologist would respect the power of lava.
I'm just saying. Your little pew pew with your mind is great and all, but this is the power of Earth.
You too were once made out of lava.
Exactly. I mean, literally, the Earth was a ball of molten stuff before it got a crust. Like, before there was magma, there was lava.
Magma.
Magma.
Yeah, and so with the death of Hopper, we can POV switch because we don't want to hang out with anyone who's in actual grief.
Nope. Perrin can just go deal with that.
And he's doing the thing that I suggested the other eyes, like he ran away. He woke up. That's how you get away in these situations, which is what I assume all of the Black Aja did.
Yeah, one assumes that when they were given the order to retreat, that meant wake up, not relocate into a different part of the city. And yeah, now Egwene is leaving the battle, waking up, coming back to the real world, like really sitting pretty, feeling pretty good about herself, patting herself on the shoulder. And what is that smell?
She does have a splitting headache, which, she hasn't had headaches since.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to make a connection there, but I don't think I can find anything.
I think she just worked her brain really, really hard.
Yeah.
I think that breaking someone's brain is going to take it out of you for a minute.
Yeah, a little bit of recoil on that one.
Yeah, exactly. That was, even if you have the butt of the gun right next to your shoulder, like, kick that hard is going to hurt. So, yeah, she wakes up thinking everything's good, and then as soon as she turns the light on, uses the power to...
Which she's like, what? I thought I left the light on. The light gets mentioned a bunch of times, right? She's like, she leaves the light on before she goes to sleep, and then...
It's a comfortably dark room. And it's like, wait, it's not supposed to be comfortably dark.
And why does it smell like pennies?
Yeah, and then as soon as she gets the light on, it's like she's in the middle of a murder scene. Just like the most like slasher film slaughter room. Like, it's really nasty. And then in the middle of all that sticky grossness, there is her would-be husband.
It's got a little bit of Godfather horse head in the bed sheets.
Yeah,
right? Like you get in, you're like, what's that warmth and slipperiness? You're like, oh, I'm covered in somebody else's blood. That's horrific.
Yeah, it's definitely waking up having already been grossly assaulted.
Right.
But all the bodies are on the floor, right? The fight's over. She's waking up in the aftermath of her fight, also in the aftermath of Gawain's fight. Gawain's not dead yet, but the fight is definitively over.
And she ignores the poor guard, who may also be alive and suffering, and goes over to help Gawain.
Well, I mean, there's some guy she's never seen before, and there's the guy she wants to bone. I mean, this is not a hard choice.
I'm just saying, you could have at least, triaged the other guy a little bit, made sure, like, Gawain's clearly suffering and dying, but was the other guy dead? Or was he beheaded or something? Am I missing the obvious, like, he's there without a head?
He's not beheaded, but he does die. Like, he is, like, stabbed in the back. Like, he doesn't crawl across the floor throughout the fight or anything. There's no indication that he has anything other than an insta-death. But, yeah, no, I mean, you're right, but I'm just saying if I wake up and there's several bodies on the floor and I only know one of them, I am going for that one first to assess what's what.
Fair enough.
And so, yeah, she's yelling for help, and he's like, don't bother. Right, like there's no one coming. Like I've done the yelling that would have gotten people here.
Right.
She's trying to heal him. It's not working, and so she pulls in Elaine.
Because now, and this was something I always forget. She says she's not very good at healing, but I don't remember if that's always been true. I thought she was pretty good at it.
I think she was like pretty good at picking up the basic stuff when they were novices, but she never really advanced much beyond that.
Yeah, I guess she was always much more in the combat because of the Shan training, which always made her very powerful in combat and like using elements and finding elements.
Like being uniquely good at Earth. But yeah, I mean, she had enough adaptitude to do some healing. And like that was impressive when she had only just been at the tower for a few months. And it's less impressive now that she's Amerlin. Same skill level. And so yeah, she's basically, patching him up a little tiny bit. But it's not working, right? It's like when Nynaeve was working over Brigida and like, this isn't working. And it's like, okay, add magic healing. Like not just magic repair, but add this other thing, add the water bond, and that will give them the strength to survive healing the normal way, essentially.
And we have that moment where she kind of is like, oh my God, what would have happened if I'd been killed and Masana would have gone free and then the battle would have been lost and it's like on and on and on and on. It's like, yeah, you were at risk in the physical world, and that could have caused all sorts of problems.
Yeah, and Gawain gets in, and I told you so.
Right.
He says, look, I'm sure whatever you're doing was good, but these were not the Forsaken. These people I killed and basically died killing, clearly not the Forsaken. So I told you so. And I love that for him.
And so what I wanted to happen here, right, which is she bonds him, the chapter ends, We cut to the next chapter. The bond wasn't enough. He died anyway.
That would have been so much more devastating and satisfying, and that's what we needed, was her being like, well, I had 5 whole minutes of having a warder, and now I am destroyed for the next year.
And that's why you end up with Egwene, because that's how you heal from the bond being destroyed, however briefly, with Gawain.
Yeah, and then it actually means something, because literally it was a 5-minute bad decision, and then Egwene's just like, no, girl, you're not killing yourself. I'm here now.
Right. I will save your life. Right, yeah. And in that moment when she goes to sacrifice herself on the battlefield, Egwene's like, no. Instead of, like, releasing Egwene and doing it anyway, it's like, no, Egwene's here to like, comfort you and be like, girl, I've gone through it too.
Right, yeah, exactly. Bail Doma knocks the Amerlin seat out for her own good.
Right, exactly. That level of, yeah. Because again, this is the bonding between Egwene and Elaine just, again, feels like checking off a box rather than...
Well, because we had that dream from a bajillion years ago. It needed to go somewhere. Right. It was such a good foreshadowing crumb. And then it amounts to freaking nothing.
Nothing. Because I don't feel like he did a good job of having Egwene address the trauma of the Shan. Like, it feels like you kind of get a little bit of that in this moment, but it's not enough.
No, she needed to have a long period of coming to trust Egwene and Lylwyn, if we're going with the proper name. But, like, it needed to be a long process instead of just some whiplash like what we get. But instead, we get Gawain will live from this, and we can POV switch to the other aftermath.
Right. And this is where, like, yeah, wounds come in. Everybody's getting healed. One thing that I thought was interesting is, like, we don't really see a lot of Perrin having unhealed wounds of Tel'aran'rhiod, right? Because in early books, wounds from Tel'aran'rhiod don't always heal the same way.
And he never takes a scar from it once.
No. That's why, like, Nynaeve has, like, the wounds in her palms from the Blackthorns in the testing, because that's part of the World of Dreams.
Right, and Baron's got the scar on her arm. Carlinia's hair, I think, gets literally burned off in that nightmare.
Well, that's not really a scar, but yeah.
But still, I mean, like, we have inconsistent amounts of effects, except for Perrin. Perrin has a consistent effect of none.
Right. Because he's taken a fair number of wounds. Remember, like, he got... Well, they did say that, like, I believe the first wound Slayer gave him, right? Remember the bolt that was in him for a long time?
I thought that was a Trolloc bolt.
Oh, that was a Trolloc bolt. You're right.
But yeah, he's just been laying here having wounds just sort of open up on him as everyone looks on in horror.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You always wonder how that looks in the real life. They never get a description of someone watching someone get wounded in real life. Is it the actual wounds open up? It seems like it.
It sure seems like it. Yeah, it says the wounds in his leg and across his chest closed. So, like, at some point they opened.
Yeah. And I always wonder, is that like when you wake up? Is that when it must be when they happen.
It has to be when they happen, because, like, his head is in Fael's lap. They've been standing around waiting. Edara's had been preventing them from healing him or telling them it wouldn't work. Or, like, they hadn't been able to make it work. And she's like, no, it wouldn't have worked anyway. It's just not a thing you can do. If your soul isn't in your body, the healing won't take, for whatever reason. Which,
again, I feel like that's him sort of, again, closing a little bit of a, not necessarily a plot hole, but, like, why don't you just heal somebody who's getting injured in the World of Dreams? Why don't you just have someone sitting there healing them the whole time, right? Like, why wouldn't that fix the problem? And because you can't heal yourself in the World of Dreams when you're in there, but if you had somebody on the outside healing you, wouldn't that solve the problem? And then you could just, like, be in the World of Dreams and then, like, be fighting and just be healed. Be like, I took that injury, and then they'd just heal up. And you'd be like, there's somebody healing me in the real world.
Right. But no, there's a rule, there's a metaphysical rule.
That doesn't work. I don't know. I kind of like the idea. I think that would be a fun way to play with the rules a little bit, and have Perrin be like, have Slayer be like, why aren't these wounds taking? And him being like, I've got an Aes Sedai in the real world healing me.
It would still be draining his body of energy, though, unless they had the second age healing techniques. As long as they're using third age healing techniques, they would be tiring him out.
One would assume that they have the special, because he's got the Ashaman, and they have the special healing.
Oh, yeah, totally. But yeah, so Fael lets him know, most of the camp is through. We're, like, literally like the last tent, this is the last unit of the camp because the gateways have been working again.
Which, again, feels weird to me, because I thought he destroyed it and then almost immediately left
Time
the World of
flows
Dreams.
differently?
Yeah. Is he unconscious for a while between when he
I always thought that was an instant transition. That feels like an anachronism.
right? Because like I wanted to bring that up because like he destroys it. He gets kicked a couple of times. He flees to the real world. That can't be more than, what, 5 seconds, 10 seconds? Yeah. He gets healed the second he leaves the world. He wakes up right after the healing.
I don't know. That feels weird. Oh, and yeah, it does say that Adara stopped them from healing him. Like they didn't even get to the point of trying. Adara's just like, don't bother. Which, like, I'm surprised that Fael didn't stab her, but okay, sure.
Yeah, the timeline just doesn't work for me. That, like, how could he have gone from being in the dream and then 5 seconds later he's out of the dream having destroyed it, and she's like, oh, everybody's already left. How did what?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense at all. There's no way.
I guess that 5 seconds in the dream was more like 50 minutes in the real world. Like, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Especially with them like being on the edge, ready to heal him the second he left the world of dreams.
Yeah. Maybe it did take him a while to wake up. Maybe there was a period of like comatose sleep between leaving and getting, like, our assumption of instantaneous transition is wrong.
Editing Aradia here, I realized as I was editing this that the answer is that the camp is nowhere near Tar Valon. Right? The beginning of the whole fight is him taking the dome off of the camp so that they can make gateways. By the time that the dream spike is being destroyed, it's already been out of effect the whole time. I can't believe we didn't think of that. Anyway.
But yeah, he wakes up and says, we got to get out of here. I got rid of the one thing, but the trap still exists. I don't trust it. We still need to leave. So they do. And he tells Fael that he lost Hopper again, and she actually knows what that means. She actually understands the depth to which that is a problem. It's not like, oh, he was just a pet or he was a wolf that you named. Like, she knows who Hopper is as a person to Perrin.
One of my favorite moments is here where he tries to make the sweat disappear on his forehead. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not in the world of dreams anymore. I can't just alter reality. And I feel like especially when I see astronauts come back from space and they do things like just set a pen in the air in front of them and it drops. And they're like, oh, yeah, right. I'm the different rules apply. And your brain has to make that switch from one to the other.
Totally.
And you don't necessarily do it consciously.
Totally.
So I thought that was pretty funny of like, instead of wiping his brow, he thought, I'm just make it disappear. And it didn't.
And Adara like catches it somehow. She like catches his little like moment of readjustment. And so we were talking earlier about, you know, how Perrin just sleeps through the battle, and how is there not, you know, some guy just being like, man, Perrin just doesn't do anything like during battles and stuff. But we see the maidens here like raising their shields and bucklers and like banging on them in a sign of approval. So at least part of his army is like, no, he was doing stuff. We get it.
No, yeah, that's a little sarcastic because, like, yeah, obviously he's going in. They understand that the world of dreams exists. The wise ones have explained it, right? Like,
and this is still the Aiel. This isn't the Two Rivers people, but at least one time he gets acknowledgement that there is great G in sleeping for a battle.
Well, and of course it's Bane and Chiad, right? Like, of course it's those two, yeah.
No, it's not. Well, they're right there holding lanterns, but they're not maidens right now. They're Guy Shine.
Good point. Yep.
They would be. But it would be inappropriate for them to touch weapons at this point in the timeline. And yeah, he thinks about how the air smells like the blight. And he thought that was an effect of the dome, but it's not. It's something else. And I wanted to know if you think that this is like a Nynaeve can tell storms are coming vibes thing, or is he literally smelling the downwind of a Trolloc camp as the portal is opening up and like literally bringing a new atmosphere into the space?
I kind of hate that line
because
it is. It's just like, yes and no, because like they're coming through the ways, so it shouldn't smell like the blight. It just
no, they're coming through portal stones.
Oh, okay.
It's a portal stone.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I guess if you're doing the whole phasing in and out, there could be some of the blight could be like phasing with you, right? Because like,
or is it just literally like the collective exhalations of like thousands of Trollocs?
I don't think they're there yet, right? Because I think they start getting flashed in when the trap has sprung.
Okay, so then the air can't have been smelling of the transit. If they haven't started transiting, then the smell that's been bothering him for days can't be.
That's yeah.
I thought I found an explanation, damn it.
Because remember how his male channelers are saying, oh yeah, we can feel like the pulsing of the power as they're like, and every pulse brings in another group of Trollocs. Because we can feel them channeling.
Oh, that does happen in the fight with the White Cloaks later, right? I think.
Yeah.
No, that was something we've already seen in Meridon. Oh, no, you verified it?
No, I haven't verified it.
No, that was something we saw in Meridon. Because I don't know anything that's coming up yet. I only know things that have happened.
You're ruining the title of this chapter, of this podcast.
There are no spoilers anymore.
That's true. It's really hard to have spoilers this late in the series.
Yeah.
Significant ones, anyway.
But it can't be the Trollocs, because he would know if he was literally smelling Trollocs. He would know. And yeah, it can't be the Portal Stone wafting, because it's not a thing in play yet. It gets triggered at the end of this chapter. So it's got to be closer to a Nynaeve with the storms and the vibes thing. But that doesn't make any sense because he's not a channeler. And she attributes channeling to her ability to be a weather vane of the future. Where's the evil smell coming from?
Yeah. That to me just feels like vibes.
All right. Unsatisfying, but okay.
I mean, it's certainly coming from the trap, right? And as to what aspects of that trap exist, I don't know. I don't know, because it doesn't feel like there's anybody there who could be creating that smell.
Proximity to Bayar, if you're within a 10-foot or a 10-mile radius, then Bayar just stinks. I don't know.
It feels like just like wolf instinct, spidey sense almost, right?
Wolfy sense.
Wolfy sense. It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. Okay, fine. Eye of the Worldism in book friggin' 13. It's fine. But yeah, they get out of there. They're in Andor. They're near Whitebridge. The air smells good. Everyone's safe. And Perrin is uneasy but happy. And we can POV switch to Grandal, who is uneasy and unhappy.
Yeah, she's pissed because Perrin escaped, right? That's the again, he's out of the trap, right? And she's the source of the smell. If you want to, whatever she's doing, maybe she's gatewaying in to scout, and she's gatewaying in from the Blight because that's where Moradin's headquarters is.
That's actually a good point. Periodic Febreze puffs of Blight waft.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she is talking to a servant, but it's Slayer, right?
That Moradin had loaned her. Yeah, it's Slayer.
Because he's under control, but barely. He knew he was unique. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's Slayer. He's been working for her for a while to try to make this all go. And he is aware that his failure will be reflected on her. But she can't punish him even. She has to just move forward with the plan. Just like Masana. She is like, well, I'm losing, but I'm going to adapt because I don't have another go around at this. I have to move forward with this version of the plan.
And I think she's depending on Perrin rescuing the White Cloaks.
You do?
I do.
Oh.
I don't think her goal is to destroy the White Cloaks, right? Her goal is to position the White Cloaks so that she can use the one tool left to her, which is Bayar.
Well, but that's her adaptation now. She did want him to fight the White Cloaks before.
Yes, but now what she's saying
okay.
She's got one tool left to her. She'd positioned very carefully, one she prepared for this moment, such as this. We know that's Bayar.
Yes. Okay, so that's when she says spring the trap anyway. She says, well, if we spring it, he'll rescue the White Cloaks. And, okay, all right.
And then there's a chance for Bayar to be in position to kill him. The goal here is not to wipe out the White Cloaks.
Sure, yeah. The White Cloaks are to distract Perrin. So yeah, I guess it doesn't matter if he's distracted by killing them or saving them. Either way, his eye is on a different ball than Bayar.
Right.
So Bayar was always her final plan. It was just going to be on a battlefield versus in a aftermath of a rescue. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I think she hoped that the White Cloaks would wipe him out, but that was never going to happen.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, not unless the entire Legion rolls nat 20s. It's not happening.
And then she was going to spring the trap on Perrin after he fought the White Cloaks in a weakened position. Hurt. Now, I think that was ridiculous because you think he would have wiped the White Cloaks out without hardly, breaking a sweat. And then the trap would have been sprung, and then Perrin would have been at a disadvantage.
But not that much of one. This is it seems like her original plan probably wouldn't have worked much better than the way the adapted plan goes. This is not much of a downgrade as plans go. This is sort of just a lateral move.
Well, I mean, Perrin does position himself so he can just bombard the Trollocs with arrows and the one power. And, like, if he was ambushed, I think it would be a slightly different situation.
It's true. He what gets out of this with like one guy that gets hurt or something like that. So
Right, yeah, or something almost nothing, yeah.
That's so interesting. I do like that Grendel has the layers of defenses. It just feels like her initial plan here with the trap is not that much more clever than the adaptation that she moves to.
No, it's just the, like, hey, maybe they didn't think about the fact that we can move Trollocs with portal stones, and so we can kind of spring a waygate type trap, but we use portal stones when you think you're safe. Yeah. And that's the cleverness. But then if that doesn't work, and we've got the White Cloaks here as sort of like, oh, rescue them, be friendly with them, yes, get stabbed in the back by them, excellent.
Right. Turn your back on them because now they're your allies, and aha!
Yeah, and then you got Bayard to do his thing. And if it wasn't for Bornhold, you know, he could have stood aside and let Bayard kill Perrin, and that would have been the end of it.
And I guess that's why we needed the trial, is because the trial is when Bornhold gets convinced that he needs to change his worldview. Okay.
So that's all about stopping this trap from Grendel.
I mean, and it's a good plan in the sense that she's right that the only way to get to him is in the middle of a tempest, right? You can't throw one thing at him and have it work. You have to throw 70 things at him and hope that one gets through.
And I like that metacognition of being like, he's Taviran, he's got plot armor. How do you get around plot armor? You have to make things chaotic enough.
You got to DDoS the pattern.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, make so that, like, it's trying to fight off all these other things that are trying to kill him, and so that then you can do a deliberate strike in the right moment.
And why does she call him Fallen Blacksmith? What has he fallen from?
That is a reference to a dark prophecy.
Right, the one that Moradin shared with her, right? That was a scene between her and Moradin when we got that prophecy.
That was Towers of Midnight, Chapter 5. Perrin Ebara, he is important, Grendel said. The prophecies, I know the prophecies, Moradin said softly. He did not turn. How would you do it? My spies have located his army. I've already set some plans in motion regarding him just in case. I retain the group of Shadow Spawn given to me to cause chaos, and I have a trap prepared. His men have gateways. He will escape you. So that's where he gives her the Tarangrial, gives her the Dream Spike. Here's where she gets lent Slayer. Where did these prophecies come from? They have been long known to me, Moradin said softly, but not to many others, not even the chosen. The women and men who spoke these were isolated and held alone. The light must never know of these words. We know of their prophecies, but they will never know all of ours. But this, she said, rereading the passage, this says Ebara will die. There can be many interpretations of any prophecy, but yes, this foretelling promises that Ebara will die by our hand.
No, it's at the back of the book. That's where the full thing is. That's where the actual thing. So here's the relevant part. In that day, when the one-eyed fool travels the halls of morning, and the first among vermin lifts his hand to bring freedom to him who will destroy, the last days of the fallen blacksmith's pride shall come. Yea, and the broken wolf, the one whom death has known, shall fall and be consumed by the midnight towers, and his destruction shall bring fear and sorrow to the hearts of men, and shall shake their very will itself.
And that, in a lot of ways, is the title of the book, right? That's the reference, because it's the...
Yes. Towers of Midnight, Midnight Towers. And the broken wolf who death has known and fell off of a tower sounds like Hopper to me.
I believe, yes. I think that the broken wolf, the one who death has known, right, because Hopper has died once, shall fall and be consumed by the midnight towers.
He falls off a tower and goes to the ultimate abyss.
Mm-hmm. However, I do think it could be Gnome as well. I've argued this before. Gnome works as a broken wolf. He was under Moradin's control, who is death. And he falls by the Midnight Tower, one of those towers, Tower of Genjai.
No, Noel,
sorry.
Okay, I was like, what the fuck? Death didn't know, aside from just people in his lifetime.
Because we referenced Gnome in this chapter. Because
Because of Boundless,
Noel.
Yes,
so I think Noel, right?
Yeah.
Because he's often described as an old wolf, right? Like, and he's broken. Death has known him because, like, so that's one of those things where canonically it refers to Hopper. Right, I believe it's actually even confirmed by Brandon. It refers to Hopper.
Well, I mean, it's even in the line after Fallen Blacksmith, which is Perrin, which is how we got here. So, but I like that there is a double layer where you could be like, Noel is But yeah, so the point of all this was to get to Fallen Blacksmith. Why is he called Fallen Blacksmith? At what point has he fallen, aside from the aforementioned falling off of a tower?
He's not a blacksmith anymore. He's a fallen blacksmith.
Oh,
He's a leader.
but he's been elevated in social status, so how could it be falling? Oh, no, you're right. Okay.
Because he's failed as a blacksmith. He's a
My pyramid-shaped brain programming has done me dirty.
Him saying, I'm not a blacksmith, or I'm just a blacksmith. No, you're not, Perrin. You failed at that. You're a fallen blacksmith.
Yeah, you've upgraded to more than that, which means you have fallen from the exalted ranks of blacksmith into the pits of leadership.
It's kind of like calling Rand a fallen sheepherder.
Okay, sure. That's not how I would have gone with it, but yeah. No, you're right.
It's like an insult. It's like, oh, yeah, you can't even be a good blacksmith.
Yeah, and he's admitted he's not a blacksmith, really. Or not admitted it, but he's admitted he's a leader at this point, right? He, at this point, and when Hopper has died, is like, fuck, I am a leader. Damn it.
And really, what is Perrin's struggle? He has to struggle with the fact that, like, he doesn't get to go back to being... This is his pride. His pride is he thinks he can go back to being a blacksmith.
Yeah,
and he can't. So these are the last days of the fallen blacksmith's pride. These are the last days when he still thinks he can go back to being a blacksmith.
Yeah.
And it's like, the words sound negative, but it's like, oh, when he realizes he actually has to come around and be an actual leader, which is a good thing.
That is a really... good reframe. I would just blew right on by that, but you're totally right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's reading the Dark Prophecies are so fun because they describe the same events in what appears to be a very negative way, but you're looking at it being like, oh, so you're describing the heroes actually like coming into their own.
Uh-huh. Yeah, totally. And that's why people that are hateful and stupid and shrinking are just looking at the information the wrong way. You just got to reframe. And then the very same information is actually much more hopeful and awesome.
Now, yeah, I'm not really sure why the destruction of Hopper, brings fear and sorrow to the hearts of men and she'll shake the very will itself. That's one thing I struggled with a little bit.
It does shake Perrin's confidence in himself. And as a leader of men, it kind of ripples through his army for a bit. But it doesn't, seriously kick the stuffing out of them. It's just a sort of bummer of a week.
It does kind of lead to him creating Mahalanar. And with that wolf on the side, I wonder if Mahalanar is imbued with the spirit of Hopper. Because it's this moment where he says, what happens to the soul of Hopper? And part of me is like, did he put it in Mahalanar?
Well, we do know that there's no recreating Mahalanar. We know that that is a one-off weapon, and all of the lessons learned from that will never recreate that specific weapon. So, yeah.
And I think that's because it has the soul of a wolf in it, of the real, and you can never recreate that bond between Hopper and Perrin and recreate that weapon because you can never put the soul of a wolf back into Mahalanar.
Yeah, at least not that wolf. You have to have a whole other arc with a whole other wolf brother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why, and it's unique because it's created in unique circumstances. I like that idea that's where Hopper's soul ended up, and that's why it's a unique weapon above and beyond other power-wrought weapons.
And, again, to fit with the prophecy, his destruction brought fear and sorrow to the hearts of men and shook their very will itself. Meaning, when this weapon got created, when the soul got brought down in, when the lightning was called down into the bottle and Perrin got this weapon, it really helped the army get its shit together, brought their morale together, helped him do his leadership thing, was the opposite of the loss of morale, or their loss of their very will itself. So it's just... these people are just looking at all the stuff in a really negative light. They have the opposite of rose-colored glasses, basically.
They have tainted glasses. Taint colored glasses.
Taint-colored glasses. Oh, boy.
Everything's looking a little brown.
Smeary.
No, and it's a fun... I really like the Dark Prophecy. I think that's a good way for Brandon to write prophecy, which is just basically by reframing stuff that's said in the good prophecy in a negative way. I think that was a really clever way for him to write prophecy without really writing new prophecy, because he's just describing a lot of things that have already happened, or we know will happen, right? The confrontation between Rand and the Dark One, and reframing it and saying, oh, what if I make it all look bad? I can do a clever bit of writing there.
It's like when you go to a fancy restaurant and they've taken the napkins and made napkin art out of it instead of just having it in a basic square fold. It's like, that was unnecessary. I'm going to have a napkin either way, but it's pretty cool you made it look like a flower instead.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like a boat or something.
And yeah, with that, we've concluded a really, really epic set of action sequence, plot conclusions, character developments, notable moments. I mean, we have now done It's Just a Weave. We've conquered the moment in which It Just a Weave happens. And that's a big deal.
And you thought this was going to be a shorter recording than last week.
Shush.
This is why we split them up.
Yeah.
We did not need a 3-hour recording for these 2 chapters.
Yes, even though I've been doing this for a long time, you have been doing it longer.
I feel like I have a little bit of an intuitive sense based on...
You consistently make a better call on how long a thing will take than me. I'm consistently wrong. You were consistently mostly right.
Never perfectly right, but yeah. I again, Lot Encyclopedia is a boon because I can kind of, because they have the facts only please on there, I can look through them very quickly and see how long the facts only are, because sometimes the longer chapters have super short summary.
And that gives you a proxy.
And that gives me a secondary piece of information other than just looking at the length of the chapter. There's also what happens in it and the length of what happens in it. And so if it's a long chapter with a short summary, I'm like, okay, well, we can do 2 of those, but
That's a really good, that makes sense. And then, if it's like, it's a short chapter, but it's a long summary.
But it's long. Or even if it's like a big significant thing that has a lot of metaphysical stuff to it, not just a straight action.
Yeah, we didn't even tangent that hard. We were quite engaged with this material.
We were. Yeah, it was a lot of POV switches, and like there was some tangents, but there were tangents about other things in the book. So, yeah.
They were in-world tangents. They weren't the dear God, make it stop tangents.
I mean, I can throw a couple of those in there if you want.
Now, we had 20 minutes of that at the beginning, and I want to get to Dungeons Carl.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Wheel of Time. And please don't forget to check out our other podcast, Dungeon Crawler Carl, First Time Reader Podcast. If you haven't read the books, please join us because you can read along. And the first book is, I think, like free on Amazon Unlimited Audible book. So I think you can go out there and you just get it for free.
You can also get it from a library, probably.
Or a library. Please get it from a library if you can. And just join us on that journey, right? Like if you're still listening to us after all of these years, then I'm willing to bet you would also like us on our other podcast. Podcast It Donut is the name of the podcast.
Yep, it's a good time. And we're going to take a quick break and go record the last episode of the first book. I've concluded my first volume of the series, and I'm very excited. So
Rady has read one of the books now, so only 6 more to go.
I know, right?
And there are certainly Eye of the Worldisms in book 1 that we'll discuss as we sort of get past them. But in a lot of ways, because of the way that those books are written, they grow.
That's how every dungeon campaign, every D&D campaign starts out with a one world building and then whatever chaos evolves. So that it feels very in keeping with the canon.
It feels right. Yeah, and I think one of the big differences in Dungeon Crawler Carl is in a lot of books you have, a Chekhov gun. In Dungeon Crawler Carl, you have Chekhov's arsenal. And he doesn't necessarily use them all. Right. And so you get a lot of these things where you're like, man, this could be really clever. I'm curious to see what he does with it. And how am I trying to say? It makes the world feel a little more lived in. That not everything, not everything is going to get used. He's got shit in his inventory. You're like, I don't know how he's going to use that. And he doesn't either. And I don't think the author knows either.
Well, it's kind of like what I liked about Nicola's death in the section of just not everyone with main character syndrome is going to get a meaningful death. Sometimes you just step on an IED 5 minutes into the mission and that's it. That's your deployment.
Yeah. Yeah, the first guy to die in D-Day who they lower the barriers and bang, you're dead. And it's like, you were still there and assaulted. It doesn't feel like you did anything, but you took that first bullet and that somebody had to, and that was you. And it's like, oh my God, that's terrible and awful, but realistic.
Yeah. So, doing that in the story building context of the world has turned into a murder dungeon feels appropriate. And with that, can we turn this recording off so we can turn that recording on, please?
No, I want to say one more thing just to pause. All right. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
recording on and continued bitching about the concept of adaptations. Or better yet, not bitching about them, complimenting the ones that are good.
The ones that are good, yeah. And we were saying that, like, Asimov is very hard to adapt, even though his stuff is foundational to the sci-fi genre in the same way that Tolkien is to the fantasy genre.
Yeah. I was honestly so surprised that my favorite plot in Foundation was not from Asimov, because it seemed so like mid-century speculative sci-fi, and then it was like, oh, they made that up for the show? I guess I have no sense of what vintage sci-fi looks like then, because I thought that felt very vintage, but whatever.
Well, they know what you think is going to be vintage, and they played up to that stereotype.
I don't like being predictable.
I got news for you. The algorithms are on point. They predict us very, very well.
No, it's true. Sometimes I have to remind myself that targeted advertising is actually a blessing in disguise, because then I don't have to wade through a bunch of shit I didn't want. I'm only looking at a curated selection of the things that I was going to look for anyway. Like, if I'm in the market for a product, targeted advertising is actually, it helps me speedrun the process.
On some level, but I found the quality of the products I'm getting advertised has dropped significantly.
That is definitely a problem, for sure. Also, it's really funny having people in your life that have like very specific hobbies, and then that becomes your ad feed.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's recently got into leatherworking and is buying all kinds of cool leather tools and like researching stuff and and like suddenly I have a lot of like desk ponies or whatever these things are for stretching and holding it while you stitch. And I'm just like, I have no interest in leatherworking, but this is fine. I don't mind the algorithm wondering if I'm into leatherworking. This is okay.
The algorithm thinks I would love sports betting because apparently I watch so many sports. And it's my coworkers, right? I think some of the people I go to work with sports bet on the weekends quite a bit, probably while at work on their phones. And
they're like, your IP is the same. You've got the same demographic profile. Why would you not be into this? No, it's like me getting hit with true crime advertisements all the time. And I'm like, I listen to Behind the Bastards and I'm a white woman on the internet. But I hate true crime. I want not like the true crime advertisements give me the squick. They give me so much creep and squick, just the ads. And I'm like, stop, please. I know I'm a white woman on the internet, but like, stop it.
Can I tell you something? My ads also think I'm a white woman on the internet.
It's unfortunate, but
I don't know why, but for fuck's sake, like especially my TikTok thinks I'm a white lesbian for
you just
sure.
want to like craft in your home and like
exactly.
do cottagecore.
And we joke because my wife definitely, has some of the more masculine energy. Sometimes she likes to drive when we get in the car. We were sitting this morning talking, and I was kind of like folded up with my knees together, my legs off to the side, and my hands kind of like under my chin. And she's like spread out legs, elbows on the table, that kind of like energy.
Totally man spreading everywhere.
Totally
and
man
you're like
spreading
daintily
everywhere.
folded up like a
Exactly.
lady. Little ubu kitty cat.
So there's a little bit of that role switching.
It's almost like these ideas and standards and stereotypes are just basic
made up
first order
bullshit.
Approximations
Right.
that don't actually capture the nuance of our experience.
Yeah, and she's the one, like, I'm the clean one, she's the messy one. Like, all these things, I watch these, like, videos where women are like, I can't believe my husband left me this mess. I'm like, oh, yeah, I never left me, like, 3 times that mess this morning.
Right.
The piles and stuff like that. So it's always just funny to me where it's like people get on their husbands for doing these things, and I'm like, yeah.
Right. It's like, well,
Anyway. But at the same time, I can't find shit, right? I'm like, honey, where's I literally on my way upstairs, where's my laptop? I just had it 3 seconds ago. She's like, it's on the counter by your left hand where you set it down 30 seconds ago. I'm like, I can't see it.
I am the finder of the phones and the glasses. For sure. This is definitely a thing.
What's funny is I find her glasses and she finds my stuff.
So it's just the inverse thing.
Mm-hmm. I think I need reading glasses. I'm at that point.
Oh, you're an old man.
Not all the time, but if I'm at all tired. Also, I'm finding like just looking at little details on things to be a little more difficult. I think I'm on that edge of like, I'm not sure it's worth getting glasses yet because I can just sort of like focus and figure it out pretty quickly.
But it's coming.
But it's coming. It's coming. And this is, like I said, my mom got glasses when she was 40. I'm 44 now. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't expect to lose my normal vision. I just expect to need reading glasses, which is almost more inconvenient because then you like, oh, all right, let me pull out my reading glasses, put them on, look at the thing, put them away. You know, it's like, instead of just being like, yeah, I need glasses all the time.
Yeah. Whereas like the last time I got my glasses updated, they were like, oh yeah, you need to have a prescription in your right eye for the first time. I've only ever had plain glass, and now I have prescription on both eyes, and it's like, it's even me. And my almost perfect vision is going to go some kind of downhill. But also, if you take my glasses away, like after a day, like I don't even notice the muscle adjustment. Like it doesn't make a difference.
All right, you want to get into these books? Anything personal stuff to talk about?
I feel like every week in the middle of the week, I'm like, yeah, next time we sit down and record, I'm going to talk about this, this, and this. And then I don't write it down. Or if I do write it down, I don't put it anywhere near my recording station. So I have no idea if I had anything. Someday I will know.
Someday I'll remember. I'm back on day shift, so I don't know if anybody cares, but I'm working 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. instead of 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. Or 12 p.m. to 12 a.m., whatever, noon to midnight, whichever one. I can never remember which one's a.m.
Yeah, a.m. is the one that reasonable people are asleep for.
Gotcha, yeah.
For whatever reason, that's how the
midnight,
powers that be decided. Like p.m. is the one that everyone's awake and functioning at.
Because it's 11:59:59, it's still a.m.
Right.
And then 12, which is really 0, right? That's the thing, is it's the 0.
Yeah, and this is why 24-hour
and
time is better.
And 0 is neither positive or negative. Right, yeah, exactly, totally. Yeah, Simon Asai, I think I would also do better at the night shift. My request to move has been denied. And you know, some things are definitely harder if you're on night shift. For sure. But I was getting paid more, which was nice. And because there's a differential if you're working night shift.
Well, right, because it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. And and there was fewer engineers. Like the engineers are stressed. Oh my God, I had to engineer was stressed and trying to do, you know, a pretty simple task, but the machine had an extra valve you had to turn off that's not standard on most of them. So he started to do the task and just got sprayed down with water. And so, and he was
water.
like, yeah. Fortunately, yes, the machines I work on are pretty safe in terms of the materials we work with. No toxics. My gases are nitrogen and argon, which are both inert. We work high electricity, but that's always shut off when you're working on the tool.
You won't get sprayed with electricity from a loose valve. That's not how electricity works.
So, and in trying to like turn off the water, he emoed the tool, which you're not supposed to do. Emergency off emo. And so that takes some effort to reset. And so then he took like an hour or two to reset it. So like this tool he was rushing on to try and get working again, I had to come in and like, you know, if he'd just done it right the first time, it could have been done in like 20 minutes, you know. And instead, it was, because he rushed, it took him, and I had to go in and fix it. Yeah, so one of those, which was like, I mean, it's pretty minor for me. I went and did the 20-minute job, right? But yeah, it was pretty funny. So that's why the night shift is easier because you don't deal with the engineers who go and they're like, this needs to be up right away. And it's like, this factory runs 24/7, but for some reason it's very important it's running during the day because that's when the engineers are paying attention and the higher ups are paying attention, right? But like at night, But then, of course, what happens? The night shift ends up always putting out more work because they don't have the engineers and the higher ups coming in there and fucking things up and making changes. They're like, how do we optimize this thing so it works better?
Get out of the way.
Fuck alone. Yeah, get out of the way is basically what the answer.
Yeah, sometimes you got to stop optimizing and just like let the experts do their thing. Like this was something my mom was telling me about. The early seamstresses of the space program was like a lot of them were like had never gone to college, had no idea how to write a blueprint or a technical paper, and the engineers at NASA were like, we can't work with this material unless there's a stack of documentation that comes with it. So the seamstress department, the people who were in charge of that, ended up hiring a team of like engineers to translate. They didn't actually design the materials. They simply created blueprints to describe what these, artisanal housewives who just figured shit out with their mechanical intelligence. And it's like, no, it just works. I can't explain why or how. Like, okay, give it to these engineer guys. They will turn it into engineer speak. So that way NASA is able to intake the materials and do the job.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They'll look at the tensile strength of the material, the permeability of the material, the size of the material, the dimensions, and they'll,
right. Right.
Yeah.
And it was just a language thing, right? Because there's like the mechanical hands on the material intelligence, and then there's the here's a blueprint that we can like look at. And like there's just they're both valid, but they are not talking to each other.
Well, and to me, how much, I hate documenting things, right? Like it's such a pain in the butt. But if you're not working alone, the only way to be sure that something is done and you don't have to go back and redo it and verify it is to document it. And so the work might as well not be done unless it's documented, because otherwise it just has to be redone.
Yeah, or this is the other cool thing she was telling me today about the Kilbowie plant in Scotland that was the biggest Singer manufacturer plant. He literally came up with the idea of the thing that everyone says Henry Ford invented. Singer invented it 10 years prior to Henry Ford inventing it. And he also basically invented the concept of having the parts from different factories be interoperable. Assembly line. Thank you, Simon Asai. Yeah, the Kilbowie plant was the first industrial company that was like, or plant that was like, we're going to make the machines that make the parts so standard that you can have screws coming out of different factories and they will actually be interoperable when it comes to the finished assembly. And that was like not a thing before. It was just like, no, like the screws that come from this factory goes with the machines that come from this factory. Like there's just this level of standardization on the machines that make the screws is not good enough.
I saw, I always love Adam Savage on YouTube, and he was looking at a piece of armor, and they're saying this nut goes with this screw, and that's like, these are handmade screws and handmade nuts, and only this nut only fits this screw and no other screw. And that's the level of handmade stuff you had to like deal with before standardization and industrialization, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was a problem. Or like Mom and I were literally putting together, she had 3 different Davis vertical feed machines spread out across like a 40-year manufacturing period. And the screws were not interchangeable, even though they were ostensibly interchangeable. Like over the course of 40 years, enough little tiny tweaks, changes, wear and tears had crept in that even though ostensibly they were the same, no, you needed to keep the screws with the correct era version of the machine head.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and it's really frustrating when, only this bolt goes with that nut, and then you take something apart, and it's like, oh, I didn't keep track. You're screwed. Especially if they're close, because you can almost make most of them work. But yeah, machining is interesting. And then I've gotten a much closer look at it at my current job in terms of, because I'm dealing with very large, but at the same time, the machines I work on aren't made at the scale at which something like a car or a TV or something like that is made. It's still a manufactured, highly expensive product, but we make so few of them that they are in a lot of ways very custom items.
Right.
And there is a lot of handmade, you'd be amazed how much of that stuff is, held together in ways that you wouldn't even want,
You don't want to
like,
know.
You don't want to know, right? You're like, oh my God, I can't believe like modern cutting edge machinery is being held together with like zip ties and JB Weld, right? Like, but it is like parts of it are. And what I've learned is that's true in every industry, everywhere.
Yeah, and it's been true since forever. Like, yeah, early sewing machines, they were being assembled one at a time. The parts were being made individually by hand. Eventually, someone makes a machine that's able to make a machine that can make the parts for a sewing machine. But, like, that takes the better part of a century to go from, like, oh, yeah, we made one sewing machine to we can make millions of these a year.
No, there's a machine I maintain that's literally operating Windows 3.1, like before Windows 95, or not Windows, Microsoft 3.1, whatever the thing is before Windows 95 came around, right? The command line version. Uh-huh. That computer is still, it's yellow as fuck because it used to be beige,
right?
And it's been sitting there for 40 years, and it just runs that machine, and that machine does one thing, and the operating system runs one piece of software, and until it breaks, there's no point in investing another $1 million in a replacement.
Yeah, no, totally. And like lots of sewing machines out there, you can't find the parts anymore, but there is a part you can find. It's just only available for industrial machines and it's under a different name, but like you can buy it and find it, but like they're not making more of the original. They're just not. Like you have to aftermarket, fabricate, scrounge, garage find. Like that's the only way. What, did you just sing the song of your people on the door?
Yeah, that was the door. My chair hitting the door stopper.
Boing.
Boing. Yeah, no, we do a lot of fabrication of parts. and or alteration of parts using percussive force.
Yeah, no, you just gotta get a little groove in there and make that groove just a little deeper than it came. Just pop this little tab out, it'll be fine. Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Please rate and review us on your podcast app, and consider supporting us on Patreon for ad-free episodes. What Spoilers is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.